And welcome to Coast podcast, live here from Southern California. I'm your co-host Beyond 716, along with the myth, the legend, who needs no introduction. 2K, how are you?
I'm doing great, man. How are you? How's everything going?
I'm doing well, thanks, man. Just living the dream out here on the West Coast. How about over there?
Hey, man, it's great. It's great. I can't complain. Can't complain at all. You know, hey, man, it's about that time.
Can you believe it? What tomorrow is the Hall of Fame game? I mean, I know it's not the Bills, but I mean, it felt like forever that we were talking, about the season and after the draft and just recapping that to death and here we are, right? I mean, the Bills are about a week away. Pads are on, so we got a lot to get to today. So you could definitely feel it in the air. I wish I could be at camp this year, but one of these years we'll get out there, Will. One of these years.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna take 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 the mayor of Bills Mafia, Lee Sean. I'm gonna take him up on his
Ah,
offer. I'm gonna go out there in a couple of actually I think he's gonna be out there on the fourth. I don't know. I may or may not be
okay.
out there this weekend. I'm not sure yet, but
All right.
uh I'm glad you brought up camp, but before we get to that, man,
Sure.
football's tomorrow night, brother. You ready?
I'm ready. Yeah, just to see. You know what? It's just that first taste of football, right? Whittle. I mean,
Right.
there's not a lot we're really going to take from the game. Hopefully a couple things we can discuss about the Jets or the Browns. It's the Browns, right? They're playing the Browns tomorrow night, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it's the Jets
So,
and the Browns. So I
mhm.
mean, not the greatest teams in the world. I'm gonna kind of crap on one of the division rivals, but whatever.
They both
Hey
have
man,
it. They're both going to be pretty interesting for different reasons. Obviously, with Deshaun Watson getting a full season, we can't forget how he was on his path to becoming an elite quarterback in this league. A lot of a lot of casual fans have forgotten that, right? With all the things going on around him. So we'll see how that works out. And are we going to see Aaron Rodgers tomorrow night? Do you think that's going to happen, or you think they're going
I
to
I
let him
think
sit?
I think you have to see Aaron Rodgers for at least a series. I would be surprised if he doesn't play at least a
Hmm.
series. They're bringing a lot of new pieces. They're trying to get a lot of things gelled together, and they got to get it done very, very quickly. They got the Bills week one, man. That's not a tough. That's not an easy game. So they got a lot to
No,
do, and they got to do it quickly.
because we've talked about it. The Bills are a team that has a lot of continuity. Okay, we have lost some pieces, as we know, with Tremaine Edmonds and our defensive coordinator, etc. But the general core has been with us for several years now, from Bean to McDermott down to quarterback to left tackle, some other key positions, Diggs. So they're playing a team that's they're going to be fire. We're going to be firing all cylinders week one. I don't think the Bills are going to have a lot of rust per se, right? With the continuity. I mean, maybe there's going to be certain players like Kincaid, rookies that are going to have to get their feet wet. First NFL game, the jitters, New York, Monday night, 9/11. But other than that, you're right. The Jets probably have more to work through, and they probably will should be playing more of their starters a little longer than we would.
100%, man. 100%. We've been watching the videos from training camp. We've been hearing the people that have been attending training camp, and they've been saying it's pretty much the same thing. Kincaid looks great. The offensive line is a work in progress. The defense looks like it's ahead of the offense, so we expect that around this time of the year. Um, but some of the things that we thought were going to happen going into this year are actually happening. Um, you got a lot of guys that are getting first team reps that they said they were going to utilize.
Hmm.
So I'm
Absolutely,
just I'm just looking forward to it. I'm just looking forward to getting back to our
absolutely.
football.
We heard it last year. Remember Mookie was talking about it, how or even Dawson Knox said they were running some more 12 personnel last year, and then we got away from it after OJ Howard experiment was a failure. Now we're seeing it more. So, maybe we're going to see a little bit more of what Ken Dorsey brings to the table, right? We all know that the lights are going to be bright on him this year, right? He was a coaching candidate for a head coaching job out there, but we saw some bumps in the road. Like if you really paid attention, like we did, right, Whittle, especially in the second half of the season, I feel like he's one of the. I think he's one of the people on this organization that has the most pressure going in through 2023.
Yeah, my biggest thing is my biggest thing 100% is Spencer Brown. Um,
Mhm.
you know, I like what I'm hearing from training camp as far as Dorsey's concerned. They're using
Mhm.
motion, they're getting guys out in space, they're being creative, they're using a lot of their weapons. I need Spencer Brown to have a good year. I need him to be a top 40 tackle in this league.
Mhm.
I need him to be a top 40 tackle.
And
Um,
that's a very realistic projection, Whittle. It's not like you're asking him to be top 10, right? We're not asking him to be top 5. We're not even asking him to be top 25. I mean, could you give us average? I mean, we'll take average at this point.
and that's the whole point. That's the whole point. I need him to just give Josh something to work with. Because last year we really got nothing out of him, and we got nothing out of Saffold.
Yep. And I don't know too many Super Bowl champions that get nothing out of two positions on your offensive line. Like in
Well,
terms
since
of being one of the
Cincinnati,
worst, right?
yeah,
That's
Cincinnati almost did it, man. They
they did.
almost did it.
They
But we're
did.
gonna get we're gonna save the Cincinnati talk for another episode because
Oh
we're
yeah.
gonna dive into Cincinnati real soon.
You
Trust me.
better be
I've
oh,
been doing my research, so we're gonna dive into Cincinnati real soon.
I'll be ready for that, Whittle. I guarantee you. I can't
Oh
wait to hear
yeah.
your analysis on that one.
Oh yeah.
So
Oh yeah.
yeah, it's I mean, but some of the camp battles, I mean, I guess I don't even know if call them battles. I mean, we've heard some talk about Dane Jackson getting more reps over Elam in practice. I mean, do you put a lot of stock into that, or do you think are they showcasing Dane a little bit? Are they just trying to figure what they got, or or are they sending Elam a message, or you think
I,
there's
well, okay. So this is where I'm at. They drafted Elam. In my opinion, Elam was not the guy they wanted. In my
Mhm.
opinion, the guy they wanted was Trent McDuffie.
Okay.
They didn't get Trent McDuffie. So they took the next available corner, not the next best player on their draft board, but the next best corner on their draft, and that was Elam. I
Mhm.
personally would not have gone that direction because he comes from a straight man system, not a. I'm sorry, hold on 1 second.
Absolutely. So as Whittle goes, so
Yeah,
we
I'll be
will
right back.
absolutely take your time, man. So we'll come back to Elam versus Dane Jackson and kind of get into that. So, I mean, it's really good to hear a lot of stuff from camp. I mean, that's positive or negative. I try not to get too. I try to stay even keel, right? Because, like Allen Iverson always said, we're talking about practice, folks. I mean, we're not talking about in-game stuff. I mean, it's rare that I've never seen Patrick Mahomes after Super Bowl say, "Wow, what we did in training camp without pads on, that was the whole key," right? Everything. I mean, there's little things you take from it, of course, but so as Whittle returns, so I'll fill in the air with
I'm back.
some talk, Whittle, just rambling for about a minute. So welcome back.
Okay, where do we leave off at? I
Oh,
think I
so
left
yeah,
off of
we
Elam
well we
and
were
Dane.
talking a little bit about Elam versus Dane. We've heard a lot of we see tweets. Of course, we've been in spaces. We've heard things. I think some of it's a little overreaction, but I mean, do you think they're just sending him a message, or that's where
No,
you're at?
I think that I think Elam's natural ability shows on the football field. I think
Mhm.
on the football field, he's the best player. He's the best corner we have outside of Trey. Like when
Mhm.
Trey's at the top of his game, Trey's a top five guy. We know that. I mean, 2019 first team All Pro, 2020 second team All Pro,
Mhm.
2021 he was playing. I mean, he was playing at a high level. He probably would have been an All Pro had he not torn his ACL against New Orleans. Um, so you know, I don't think that they're trying to send Elam a message. I think that they're not seeing what they want to see out of him in practice.
Mhm.
So Dane is a practice guy. Dane has been here for was this 4 years now? I think he's in no,
Mhm.
I think this is his fifth year. So
Yep.
Dane has been around. He knows what the coaches are looking for. He knows the system. He knows what's expected of him. Christian Benford is going to be better in practice than Elam is because he knows how to play his own system. He's been
Mhm.
doing that since college, since Villanova. So it's not a situation that Elam is not playing well.
Mhm.
It's just a foreign concept to him. Like when you first
Yep.
learned how to drive, man, like you didn't jump straight on the highway. So you can't expect. I'm not expecting Elam in his second year of ever playing zone to be, fully. What's the word I'm looking for? Fully comfortable in that
Yeah.
system.
Hmm.
I'm not expecting it. Um,
Definitely.
but I will say this: when week one gets here and we got to go up against Garrett Wilson, I need Elam on the field.
Yep.
I need him on the field because I need to make sure that if Trey can't, for whatever reason, if Trey's not ready to get that to take on a guy like that at that level, I want Elam on him. Elam's a bigger corner. I want Elam on him or Lazard,
Hmm.
you know. But at the
Absolutely.
end of the day, man, Elam's not bad depth to have. He's not bad depth to have.
Absolutely.
And you know, if we can
And
bring
some,
him off the bench and we're
yeah,
winning, I don't care.
and some other corners take time. I mean, to develop too, right? And we got to remember we don't have Leslie Frazier this year. Now it's another court. I mean, granted, it's McDermott, right? But for Elam, he had Leslie Frazier in his year last year. Now he's got McDermott this year. You think we're going to play the same amount of zone under McDermott that we did under Leslie Frazier, or do you think maybe it changes up a little bit?
No, I think we still play zone. I think we still play a good amount of zone.
Hmm.
But I think the zone will be a little more aggressive. If you pay attention, if you've been paying attention to what's been going on in training camp, these guys are running stunts at the defensive line. They're using their linebackers and slot guys
Hmm.
to bring added pressure. Um, I've even heard rumblings of dime packages featuring DeMar Hamlin and or Taylor Rapp. So,
Very nice.
all of these things are they're good. They're good signs that the front office, the coaching staff recognize what's been going on over the last 3 years has not been good enough, especially from the defense.
Yep.
Um, it hasn't been good enough. So we gotta step it up. We gotta pick it up. And the unit that needs to do that is the defense.
100%.
2021, 2021 defense gives up 18.4 a game in the regular season. They give up 29 and a half in the postseason. 2022, the regular season, they gave up 19.1 yards in the regular season, and in the postseason, 29 per game.
Hmm.
That's a yards. I meant points. I didn't mean yards. I meant points. But
Yeah,
they got
absolutely.
to step it up, man. When it counts is when it counts. Conversely, the Cincinnati Bengals gave up what was it, 19.4, 19.6 per game, something like that. And in
Hmm.
the playoffs, 16.1.
Big
That was
difference.
last year. Big difference.
Yeah,
What could Josh do with a defense that's given up under 20 points? You know what
I
I'm
agree.
saying? Think
I
about
agree
that.
with you.
So,
Yeah, like we needed our defense to punch Cincy in the mouth a little bit last year to start that game, and they did just it was just the opposite. I mean, before you could blink, it was 14-0. It felt like it, right? And then from there, you just felt the wind knocked right out of our sails. So we yeah, we don't need our defense to be world beaters in the postseason. Whittle, we just need something close to what we're used to, right? Even if it's 23 a game, 22 a game, like keep us in that general vicinity, right? Against the best teams, right? Give us that chance. Make those plays when it counts. I mean,
yeah,
because
you
Mahomes is
don't
going
want
to
to.
get his right. You're not going to
Right,
stop him, but
right.
like we've done it against him in the regular season in Kansas City, right, where Mahomes has had his moments, but we've come up with plays when we needed to.
Yeah, and the other thing is, you don't want to keep wasting these performances from Josh, man. Like,
Mm-mm, no, you don't.
that the 2021, man, what a like he was playing out of his mind, and that was just a waste, man. I think he had like 9 touchdowns, no interceptions, no turnovers, something crazy like that. So,
You
like we
know,
don't want to keep wasting those, man.
what? Those years. You remember when you think about the history of football, those years where quarterbacks have that postseason, right? You know what I mean? Like Joe Montana. You think about Tom Brady's, and you think about the greats. Josh was on that path. You could see it, right? If he could have gotten over that game, and maybe we would have struggled with the Bengals more than we realized, but I think we would have won that game at home. I just felt like that team was prime to take it from Cincinnati. That could have been. We look back and say one of the most epic runs in postseason history, and the defense took it away from us. Really,
I hate to do this, man. I hate to do this, but I gotta do it. I gotta bring up the injuries, man. I gotta bring up the
Yes.
injuries, man. If Trey White plays that game, we don't lose. We
No,
don't
I agree.
lose.
Listen, you know what? Injuries, some fans look at it as, oh, it's just, you're just making excuses or whatever. But when you have multiple injuries to multiple levels of the defense, like we've had
Right,
over the last
right,
couple of years, right? It's not,
right.
it's one thing if you're missing like a left guard or something, right? You can, but we had, I mean, Von Miller out, right? I know you go back to 2021, but just, Von Miller, Jordan Poyer basically playing with one arm, right? Micah Hyde out the whole season. We've had, we never, I felt like we were just never comfortable last year. Dion Dawkins said something before camp last year. He said, as a professional, you're used to repetition, right? That's what it's kind of like. Like when you start your season, it's almost like when you start that first year of college, Whittle, right? Or high school, you get your syllabus and you got your plan of attack. Okay, I got my
Yeah.
classes here, and I got my things here. And when things are just a little bit off, like with the snowstorms and the Damar Hamlin issue and the injuries, right? They just never, you can never really get in that rhythm consistently. I don't think that could be overstated. It's not an excuse. It's not the only reason Cincinnati beat us or whatever, but I can't overlook it.
No, you're right, man, 100%. And you know, which is why training camp is super important. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and obviously the Bills are not the only ones going through training camp. The rest of the league's doing it as well. Just to talk about some other training camps that
Sure.
come to mind, man. Did you see any of Seattle's training camp so far?
A little bit. JSN has been blowing people away, Little. I
Bro,
mean,
his ability to run routes is going to make him a staple at that second or third wide receiver in Seattle for a
yep.
number of years.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. I love what I'm seeing out of that. Um, and the Jets, like the Jets have had a up and down training camp so far. You have Aaron Rodgers and you
Mm-hmm.
have a lot of the guys, the offensive line. You have some issues there. Um, the defense is playing well. The defense, they got a kid named Tony Adams that looks like he's probably going to end up starting and taking that free safety role.
Mm-hmm.
Another one of those defensive backs out of Illinois, man. I'm telling you, Washington is defensive back university West, and Illinois
Mm-hmm.
is defensive back university East. I'm
Wow.
telling you, they are putting out they're putting out a lot of talented kids.
Hmm.
And then Chiefs camp. The Chiefs camp has been like an MMA match, man. I mean, they're fighting it's like they're fighting every day,
Yeah,
every single.
you think they'd be the definition of continuity? Hey, we have a Super Bowl. We're off a Super Bowl championship, and
The only thing connecting is Travis Kelsey's hands to his teammates, man, because he's been throwing punches every day, man.
yeah,
It's very different, and I think it's not what you're used to. But that to me tells me the impact or the void that's left that's there from when Eric Bieniemy left. Because when
that's
Eric
true.
Bieniemy was there was none of that. You didn't see that. You didn't hear about it. It was nothing.
Yep.
They still don't
I don't.
have Chris Jones.
Yep.
It's a lot, man. It's a lot going on there.
The enemy's not talked about enough, right? I know Andy Reid this, Andy Reid that. I understand that, right? It's like even Leslie Frazier too. Like we have to acknowledge, like I know I've confidence McDermott can do it, but same thing with Andy Reid. Like we don't. Bieniemy was there for quite a while. He's there for a reason, right? So okay, he hasn't gotten the head coach job yet. They're hard to get, first of all, but I think now that he's going to Washington, he's going to prove himself. You watch what he does with Washington this year, and then he has to prove it on his own merit to kind of get like Reed's been good for him in a way, but he needs to get away from that shadow and say, hey, don't forget about me. I know something about offense here. So, like you said, Bieniemy, he was tough on Mahomes, and that's what he needed. So, or
Yeah, that was one of the things that Mahomes brought up when they
mhm.
interviewed him right after winning the Super Bowl. He was saying that he was hugging Eric Bieniemy, and they talked to him. They said, Mahomes, can you talk to us about this guy right here? And he said, man, I love him. He's hard on me. He makes me accountable. He keeps us all accountable. He said, but I love him for it because it makes me a better player. It makes me a better man. And you can see that they're already missing that in their training camp.
That's right. Some of the best coaches, sometimes they're not friends with the players, right? But they also they may not like them, but they may respect them.
Absolutely.
I mean, just real quick, my uncle worked with a guy who owned the car dealership, played with the Giants for 10 years, and I asked him about Bill Parcells, right? And he goes, "Oh, I hated the SOB. I couldn't stand. He was just going on a tangent. Hated him." But so then I said, but he said the reason why I hated him is that he wanted to prove him wrong every Sunday for all the crap he was saying during the week, right? And I said, would you play for him again? He said, yeah, I'd run through walls for him if I had to. Like, see, they weren't lovely friends or anything, but he respected the world out of what he did for his career. So that's, there is a fine line that coaches, like, you don't always want to be buddy buddy with them, right? Like that could get you in trouble. As nice as it sounds, like, oh, everybody's going to be buddy buddy and all this. You want that accountability. You want to make those players held accountable for their benefit.
No, 100%, 100%. And you got to take it easy in training camp, man. Because the next thing we got to talk about, man, is injuries. Injuries. This has been an eventful week, man. Well, actually, I wouldn't even say it was just a week. Over the last like 8 to 10 days, man, Jalen Ramsey goes down.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Burrow goes down. Both guys carted off the field. Kadarius Toney goes down.
Mm-hmm.
He's hurt. And I feel like I'm missing somebody else.
Didn't Denver have a wide receiver, a torn Achilles?
Tim Patrick, man.
Tim Patrick, yeah.
I was so hurt, bro. Tim Patrick lost all of last year to the ACL. Works his way back, comes to training camp, blows or was it the Achilles last year? I think it was the Achilles last year. Comes back, gets to camp, blows the ACL. So,
because it is, Whittle. Like, a lot of fans don't realize the work that goes by. They think these guys just take it off all season. They're partying up or doing whatever, right? You don't know the amount of work they're putting in behind the scenes, right? And just the mental part of it, right? You're trying to come back for that injury, and then it happens again, or it's something different. That's why I always that's why I always say, Whittle, when players want money, I'm good. Like, I understand it, right? Because you just don't. I know it's a lot of money, but you just don't know how long it's going to last.
Yep.
And you got to remember, when you're 28, 30, you got all this money. It's great, but you're only 28, 30. Then you got to go into the real world. It's like, what do I do now, right? Not every player's got a Fox analyst job waiting for him after they retire. So,
one more injury we got to speak on is Josh Allen got his leg wrapped up in practice, man.
Yeah.
That ran into who ran into him? Was it Poyer?
Yes, I
believe. No, it wasn't. No. It was Taron Johnson.
Yes, Taron Johnson. My mistake. Yes.
TJ, man, get it together, bro. What are you doing, man?
I know.
You can't hurt the main guy, man. But
Whittle, if you watch the Joe Burrow injury, you watched how he rolled to his right. I mean, it was just a casual looking play, and it could have been his Achilles, just like that, right? So
listen. So they're saying it's a calf issue. They're saying it's a calf issue, right? Now, we did some research on Twitter. The guys they do their do their research thing. There are 2 NFL teams that have MRI capabilities at their facility. Dallas is one of them.
Not surprising.
Cincinnati's the other.
Cincinnati, that surprises me.
Yes, me too.
Yeah.
You would think they're poor, but I mean they got that. So
yeah, compared to other owners in this league. Yeah.
Where's the MRI? Like, if you're telling me it's a calf issue, cool, no problem. Where's the MRI saying that it's just an issue and it's not a tear? It's not a calf tear. It's not a strain. It's not something worse. Where is it? You haven't seen anything. Wow. They're being very tight-lipped about that. And when you're tight-lipped about that, it makes me think that there's something more working here.
Yes, you really haven't heard a lot, right? A player of that stature, you figure it'd be everywhere, right? You'd see all kinds of reports about it. You're right, it's been really tight-lipped, so you wonder if they're just holding their collective breath and doing second opinions, or they're really trying to figure out what's going on. I mean, I hope not, right? We don't want to see the best players out, because we went through that last year, and I want to see Josh versus Burrow in the title. If we play in the title game, I want those 2 on the field. I want to beat them with Burrow. I don't want to beat them with who is even their backup? That's the craziest part. I can't even remember who the Bengals backup is.
I have Simeon.
Trent Simeon. Simeon from Denver. Yeah. Okay. Oh boy.
So my thing is this: like, if what I worry about is not whether or not Burrow comes back. I think no matter what it is, if it's a calf tear or it's a strain or something like that, he can come back at some point this season. I'm not worried about that. As long as it's not an Achilles or ACL or somewhere, it's going to require him to lose, 9 months or more.
Yeah.
He comes back. We're fairly confident in that. The problem for the Bengals, to me, is that how many games do you lose because he's not there? And this is not the year where you can give away games, right?
No.
The Browns are better. Have you watched the Steelers in training camp? Did you
Let me
see the
tell you.
one hand? Did you see the one hand grab off that tight coverage from Joey Porter Jr. That Pickens made? Like they
Unbelievable. My
are
jaw, not much makes my jaw drop anymore, Whittle, right? We see
right,
so that
right.
catch. Oh, I was like, wow. I
Yeah,
was like,
he's a dog, man. He's a dog, and
he sure is.
That Pickett to Pickens connection is going to be lethal for a very long time.
Yep,
Hopefully they can keep those guys together.
you're right.
But this is not a year that you can give games away. Miami's better. The
Yep,
Jets are better. The whole North is good.
yep.
The Titans are going to be better. I got the Titans winning that division. The Titans are
You
going
and
to be
I.
better. Jacksonville Jaguars are good. And then out west, you expect Denver to be better because
Mhm.
of Sean Payton. You
Yep.
expect the Chargers to be a playoff team again. They got Kellen Moore at OC.
Mhm.
And then always there's the Chiefs. So, you know, I think I just ran off about 10 teams, man. That's like most of the AFC is pretty good. So you
It's
can't
stacked.
really and even the Patriots, who I didn't mention, were one game out of the playoffs last year, and they got
Mhm.
Bill O'Brien back at at the offensive coordinator. So the offense is going to look better. The offense is going to be better than what it was.
Oh yeah.
So there's a lot of teams you can't afford to give games away. Yeah,
Agree.
not
I
this
mean,
year.
yeah, just the Bengals first two games. They're at Cleveland, not going to be a gimme, right? Cleveland's going to be pumped for that. Then they got Baltimore coming in,
Right.
fresh off the last year.
Cleveland plays them tough all the time. Though they have
Yes.
like how it is with us in the Jets. That's
Yep.
how it is for them with Cleveland. Like Cleveland just plays them tough no matter what.
Oh yeah. So you're right. You can't give those games away. You and I are very much on the same page with Tennessee. No team lost more man games, 339, than Tennessee did last year. People forget. A lot of fans forget that. I know they got Tannehill. I know their quarterback situation isn't the best, but kind of like with New England, Whittle, good coaching, right? Defense is solid, right? They could run the ball. By default, you could win 9 games like that in this league. Like you really can, right? Whether you
Not
could
to
take the
mention
next step is the question, as you were saying.
right.
Sorry,
Not to mention they got Hopkins. They got D Hop now.
it's a
So
big move. Yeah.
you pairing D Hop with Traylon Burks and Kyle Phillips. Kyle Phillips, short, smaller, shifty slot receiver out of UCLA, I want to say. Then Kyle
Yes.
Phillips went to UCLA. Traylon Burks out of Arkansas. I mean, the
Hmm.
kid is already demanding double teams. And I'm not going to butcher the tight end's name, but the kid is like 6'3", 240, and he ran like a 4.5, 4.48, something weird like that as a
Wow.
tight end. Yeah, as a tight end. Not by the way, they still have Derrick Henry, and they drafted Tajay Spears, the kid out of Tulane. So that offense, they revamped that offensive line. They went out and got some free agents. They went out, they made some draft additions. Peter
Hmm.
Stronsky is down there now, so
Hmm.
they're going to be tough, man. That play action game is going to be available. D Hop catches everything. Traylon Burks is a matchup nightmare, and
Hmm.
he's even worse after the catch because he's tough to bring down. They were
Yep.
in a winning in situation in week 18 or week 17 last year with not week 17, it's week
Jacksonville.
18, right? Yeah,
Yeah, with
with
Jacksonville.
Jacksonville.
Despite all their problems, they were
And you
still
would
had a
think,
chance.
yeah,
Yeah.
they had a chance
Yep.
at the end of the year to do it. So I think
I agree.
they made some additions, man. That's a
You know what the
good
moral?
team now.
What the moral of the story really is at AFC? There's going to be about I say about four franchises or so that are going to be bitterly disappointed this year, right? Whether it's the Jets, I feel like these are the teams that could be boom or bust. The Jets, the Broncos, right? The Broncos, don't sleep on them either. They could surprise everybody and make a wild card, right? Jacksonville's possible. I'm telling you, as good as they look in the future, you just never know. I mean, if Tennessee takes that division and they fall back in the wild card, but there's going to be teams in the North and the East, especially that I'm not sure who it's going to be. I really don't think it's going to be us. I think at worst, Buffalo could be 11-6 is kind of like what I feel. Whittle, maybe I'm not even going to go as low as 10, but I'm saying just everything being equal, relatively good health. 11's my low number for the Bills because our schedule is really rough in the
Oh,
second half.
okay. That's the floor. Okay, cool. I
Yeah. I'm
thought
not
you were
saying we're
saying
gonna
like,
no,
yeah.
no. I'm
Man, this
saying
is a
without
good like.
major problems, without with relatively good health, and we have our core. I think 11-6. I mean, we could dip, but still, here's the thing. I think we could be better built for the playoffs, even if we do that with some of the upgrades we've made in the interior with our defense.
Right. And
Mm-hmm.
my thing is like I really think that this is a really good Buffalo team.
Yeah.
Like when you look at the offense, we were second in offense last year. We're returning most of those guys. We made additions on the offensive line, which was the weak point last year at especially like a left guard. We got better with our depth. And then Dalton Kincaid, man, like he is catching everything. The kid does not drop the football. He's going to be a problem. He really is going to be a problem. They
Is that a
had,
sight? Is that a sight for our sore eyes, Whittle? After all the talk we did about drop balls last year.
yeah, come, bro. Between Kincaid and Sherfield, I am just over the moon. Like these guys are going to catch the ball. They're going to get both hands on it. They're going to keep, and they're not going to drop it. Shakir's been looking great. I've seen a couple of James Cook highlights from training camp. One happened to be a wheel route where he just smoked Micah Hyde, man. He just smoked him. So, but I think this is a really good team, man. I think it's a really good team. I think I think we got a good thing going. But
I'm excited about the running game, especially the efficiency. I think what we can do, right? We talked about it. 3rd down and 2. I feel confident we could get 3-4 yards now to get those first downs, right? If we're in a goal line situation, maybe we could give it to the old steady vet Latavius Murray, or we could give it to the Cook. I mean, there's a lot of options we have, and I feel like the upgrades in the interior line are going to show that. And again, that might take some time. Lines do take a little bit to gel. We got to keep that in mind. But compared to last year, I just don't see how it could be any worse going into the season. Even if McGovern takes a little time, even if Torrance takes a little time, right? Whittle, I can't. Even if Spencer Brown takes a little time, it's not going to be as worse as last year. It just isn't. And we still won 13 games, and that's why I don't understand this regression talk. I don't get it.
We were a bottom 5 offensive line last year, so how could it get much worse, right? I mean, the only place to go was up. So
that's right.
And clearly, the offensive line works hand in hand with the running backs to get things moving. And running the football without Josh Allen is going to be extremely important this year. Speaking of running backs, our very own Nyheim Hines is out for the year. Bad accident. We talked about this last week. But there are some issues. There's a contract dispute between him and the Buffalo Bills. I have not looked at the language of the contract. I don't know if anybody has, but I hate to see this part of the business because this is not his fault. It's not like he was on a motorcycle doing something stupid. He's on vacation, sitting on a jet ski, and somebody crashes into him and ruins his season, man. Like before the season even starts. So,
absolutely.
I don't know if Nyheim Hines is. I don't know how this is going to shake out. I am wishing for the best for him, and I do want him to get paid. Like I'm on the side in these situations. I'm on the side of the player getting paid because it's not his fault.
Totally. But there's going to be. You're right. I feel like they're going to try to find that happy medium for him somewhere. And again, this is without even if there is something in the contract, maybe there could be it's there, but it wasn't completely your fault. Maybe we can meet in the middle because precedents are going to be set. Other owners are going to be watching. We know how greedy billionaires. They don't become billionaires by being charitable all the time, Will, right? We know that already, unfortunately, right? It's just the
No,
way the world
that's a
works, right?
fact. That's a fact,
Yeah, I
man.
mean, that's when it's billionaires versus billionaires, we know who's going to win that. But I just got to feel Bean and McDermott for like this is going to also test that culture that they talk about, right? Like I feel like, and I think they passed a lot, but I think this situation is going to be looked at pretty closely, not just by other teams. Like, how do we handle this situation if it comes up, right? Especially what if it's a higher profile player that's making 20 million, 30 million, right? Like, what if this happened to Tyreek Hill, right? What if happened to Diggs? Like, how do we handle that, right? You're talking a lot of money there. So I just hope at least I would be stunned if the Bills don't do right by him. I would be surprised, but with the NFL though, I always keep an open mind. You just never know. Sometimes things come out of left field that don't make sense.
Right.
So,
Right.
you know,
I mean,
well,
it wouldn't be different than what we're currently seeing right now. Like if they did do Naeem dirty on the contract side of things, it
mhm,
wouldn't be different than what we're seeing right now. Joe Mixon had to take a cut to
mhm.
a huge. I mean, what was it? $4 million, somewhere around
Yeah.
there.
Yep. He's
He took
getting
Yeah,
yeah.
he took like a $5 million, $4 million pay cut or something like that. Like it was a nuts. He
Yep.
took a huge pay cut just to
Mhm.
get back on the team and run it back for another year.
Yeah.
Um,
I give him credit though. I mean, that's
Saquon,
he doesn't get a lot of credit for that nationally, right? I mean, we talk about, oh, Aaron Rodgers took a pay cut. Aaron Rodgers took a pay cut. Well, Joe
yeah.
Mixon did. He cleared what 4.3 on their cap, and he took an incentive deal too. I think he gets 2 million incentives that he can hit. And
Well, Mixon's a
but
bad guy, so
true, but
he's a bad guy. So
yeah,
nobody cares if he loses out on a couple of million,
yeah.
man.
Well, at least he's got that reputation. He's done things that he's you never know. He might be a good person that's just made wrong decisions at times. He's got to get it straightened out. But you know what I mean. Maybe this is his way of getting back to them. Maybe he said, "Hey, I'm gonna." He's still got a few years left in him, and he's got to make good decisions now.
Oh yeah, oh
One
yeah.
one more bad decision, you're out. And I'd rather have 5 billion or 5.3 billion than zero and make a bad decision. So,
That's it. He
yep,
and he is a good player.
yes,
But
he is.
some other guys that are at the running back position. It's a lot of turmoil in that position right now, man. Josh
Hmm.
Jacobs, no deal. I think he led the league in rushing yards last year. No deal.
Hmm.
Zeke Elliott still out there. Kareem Hunt still out there. They're still free agents. Um, Saquon Barkley just signed a deal for
Hmm.
1 year with the Giants for basically what he was going to get anyway from the franchise tag. Um, and then, but I think that was smart on his part. Um, this does allow him to just play football and not worry about um, contract negotiations going on throughout the year. You
Hmm.
don't have to answer any questions. It is what it is. It's done. He's here for a year. They can start this whole process over again next offseason. Um, Dalvin Cook, no deal still. Like he's being pursued heavy by the Jets. He's being pursued heavy by Miami. There was a little drama on Twitter about that. His trainer
Hmm.
said some things he probably shouldn't have said on Twitter and had to go back and delete the tweet. But you got to be careful, man. Like when you're high profile like that, whatever you tweet, it's gonna come back to bite you. Shoot, hey man, no matter you never know where we end up. I might have to answer for some tweets myself in a couple
We
of
know
years.
that, but you know what? We got your back, Whittle. So don't you
I've
worry about it.
changed, people. I've changed. I promise.
A new and improved. I wouldn't even say improved Whittle. A new Whittle turning over a new leaf.
Yeah,
Breaking
man.
news here on the Coast to Coast podcast.
We're all about peace now. We're all about peace, man. Um,
Absolutely. Well, like Herm Edwards used to always say, "Don't press send." Right? He always said that all the time. Right? When it comes to like tweets and stuff like that, like
yeah.
always, you got to think about it before you send it. Sometimes, like I think I told you this. Game days, you won't even see me on Twitter now, or X, or whatever they want to call it. Right? Because last year for that Baltimore game, I was on a
Yep.
rampage, man.
Oh yeah, I
Rampage about that
remember. I
game.
remember.
Yeah,
I
and I said to
remember.
myself, man, what an idiot I look like after we came back down 20-3 and got the win, right? Like I just
I
gotta.
had to talk. I had to talk a few of y'all down, man, from the ledge
Yeah,
a
you
couple of
talked me
days
off after
last
the
year.
Cincinnati game too. You remember I made that window close thing. I made a avatar window close. You sent me a message. Take that down. I
Yeah,
said,
man.
he Whittle's right. What am I doing here? I'm just raging. So
Yeah,
just it gets the best of us. It's what
I
social
hate
media is
losing.
about, right?
I hate
Oh man.
losing too, man.
Oh yeah. It's that night. Oh man, I was stewing for hours. I just, you know,
Yeah.
it for days really. So
Speaking of losing, what are the Colts doing?
I don't get it because you have this dynamic quarterback, right? And Anthony Richardson, who, let's be honest, he's kind of like a Josh, right? I mean, he could be. He's got the golden arm, right? He could run. He's a playmaker. You pair him with Jonathan Taylor. And why wouldn't they pay him with Anthony Richardson on a rookie deal?
That's what I'm
It's the
saying.
perfect combination, and you're messing with Jonathan Taylor. Like, why?
You can pay this man. You can give him $40 million over 4 years. You can give him 45 over 4 years. You can give him 50 over 4 years, and pay 25 of it in year one.
Yeah,
Pay 25 of it in year one, and
yeah.
then just trickle it down after that. However you want to do it, man. Just figure out a way to get this man paid early. So that way, if you need to move off of his contract in 2 years because of injury or whatever, you can, and it's not a huge cap hit.
hmm Let
Come
me ask you a
on.
question. With these running backs, are owners now? Listen, analytics have taken over. Right, we know that every sport, right? Are the owners colluding here a little bit? Are they all getting together to say, "Hey, we're just not going to pay these running backs premium price anymore"? Is that happening, or is it
I
just, or the GMs? Or is it just a philosophical change we're seeing across the league?
do. I think it's a byproduct of what the quarterbacks getting paid. If anybody needs to band together, if the owners need to band together and do anything, is bring down this quarterback pay market. Because
hmm
if you're so the cap this year, I think is $258 million,
hmm
and Justin Herbert just signed a deal for like 54.
hmm
That's 20% of your cap on one player. 20.
Yeah, that's crazy. When you're talking how many players,
20%.
50 plus on your, I mean, that's just incredible. Yeah.
53 on the active roster, man.
Yeah, you better be
That's a
damn
lot,
sure you
man.
got the right quarterback if you're going to start paying that money, right? I mean,
Yeah.
thankfully we do, but if you're like, certain teams that have those quarterbacks, like, we don't know for sure.
Miami.
Yeah, no,
Miami.
listen, I respect too. I like the kid, I like him, but do we really know he's worth that elite money yet? We just don't know
No,
that yet.
we
We're
know
gonna find,
we know he's not. We know he's not.
you're not. So you're saying no, no way, right? Okay, I'm giving him a little bit of wiggle room, but
Listen,
I'm kind of on your side. But I'll give him a chance this year. A
that's a
full year of health. I want
conversation.
to see it.
That's a conversation for another pod. But bro,
Yeah,
I think you could
we'll
take
have to
any
bring
top
somebody in for
15
that too.
quarterback. Then you
Yeah,
can take any top 15 quarterback and plug them into Miami, and you'll be fine. You'll get similar production.
yeah.
Might even be better. I don't.
But
That's how I
those are
feel.
decisions these front offices with, like you said. Yeah, that's a good point about the quarterbacks with the salaries. It leaves some of these teams in those really tough positions. Like a Derek Carr is a perfect example too, right? Guy got paid. I think Derek Carr is a pretty good quarterback, but he's just not. Listen, he's just not elite. Let's just be honest, right? So, but when you pay that kind of dime for that QB, it hurts so many other things. But let's just
Absolutely.
can we just say something else? Jim Irsay is he's a prick. Honestly, the guy, I can't stand him. I never liked him. I mean, if he didn't fall backwards into Peyton Manning, he may be the worst owner in sports if you really think about it. Right? I mean, if they really didn't think about it, right?
You had
They
Andrew
got
Luck too, man.
ran him into the
They-
ground, never gave him what he
yeah,
needed. I mean,
yeah.
like they've gotten lucky with the picks. But other than that, what have the Colts really done, right? I mean, they sometimes when you get the number one overall pick, that's important too, right? Sometimes it's especially like sport like the NBA, we talk about it, right? When you get the top pick is just as important as how you get it or what you do. So yeah, let's just say I'm not a fan of Jim Irsay. I wish they would Dan Snyder him and get him out of the league.
Eesh. Yeah, I don't know if that's happening. But
Yeah, it won't, but it should. It should at this point. I just don't like what he said. I don't like what he did. The disrespect he showed Jonathan Taylor to me is, if I were a player in that team, I'd be looking at my owner saying, "What? Like, could you ever see Terry Pagula doing that? Could you ever see, right? I just couldn't see it, right? It's a total disrespect to him.
yeah, 100%, man. So uh I I don't know how that situation fixes itself. I haven't really taken a ton of time to look to see where spots, like what spots would be the best for
Yeah, where
Jonathan
do you think
Taylor
he could end up?
to go. Yeah, I'm I want to say
Any
Tampa
first thought? I was
Bay.
thinking Carolina, but they just signed.
No, Carolina just signed Miles Sanders. And he had 1,400 yards last year. Like they that's they straight. They are straight. Seattle's got a stable full of guys. They just drafted Zach Carpenter in the first round. San Fran, Christian McCaffrey's there. I mean, the Rams are going to be in cap hell for a little bit. They got to do. They got some things they got to take care of. But hey, you got to mute up, bro. Um, I don't know what that is. I'm picking up some feedback from you. Beyond. Okay.
Widow,
Um,
hear me?
yeah. I can hear you. I can hear you now.
Yeah, I
Can you
cannot
hear
hear.
me?
Sorry.
Oh, all right. Well, we're getting
Wow,
ready to we're
takes
getting ready to
it really, really quick.
okay. You wanna leave out and come back? Oh, let me see. Speech. Haven't seen you.
I'm gonna come back in.
Okay. All right. So while we're doing that, yeah, it's just me again. All right, so while we're doing that, we'll talk a little bit about training camp, a little bit more about training camp. So the pads came on finally. I think that's the best way to evaluate your offensive line. Like defensive line is going to have an opportunity to just kind of do their own thing. They're going to be able to use speed and get past the O linemen. Our O linemen obviously are not as athletic, so putting the pads on is giving them an opportunity to, kind of level out the playing field. They can use their size and their strength to negate some of that athleticism that they lack. So it's been a mixed bag, man. The offensive lines look good on some days, and they've looked pretty bad on some other days. But we do have a very good defensive line in Buffalo. So it's just a wait and see game, man. Right now, I think my best, like if I had to say anything about the O line, I would err on the side of caution. I'm not expecting it to be great. I just need it to be regular. Beyond, you back fully? You can hear me now?
Yeah. Yep. Can you hear me?
All right, perfect. Yeah. All
We're
right, we
back.
back.
I'll have to figure out why that happened, but we'll work out the little details. Right. This is why we do these, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, man. These are the first few episodes, man. Like, just ask for your patience and help us and grow with us, man. That's it. We're gonna try to
absolutely.
get this thing pushing, man. Get it pushing and getting moving. I talked a little bit about training camp. I talked about the pads. I talked about pads coming on and that being kind of an equalizer for the offensive linemen. So,
Hmm.
and again, it's a mixed bag, man. I mean, I've heard reports that the offensive line look great some days, and then some days they look god awful. So,
Yep.
continuity is only going to be built up by continuing to have reps. They got to continue to play together. They got to continue to do things together, and then they'll build up the chemistry that they need. Um,
Absolutely.
Another
This is
thing
a
I want
big
to bring
year
up about
for.
training camp.
Oh, yep. Go for it, Widow.
Another thing I wanted to bring up about training camp was the return of Damar Hamlin. Uh, I know it's not in our notes, but I think it's.
Yeah.
I think as a Bills fan, you have to uh, make note and make mention of that. Um, he died on the football field twice last year, and to see him put pads on and come back and play football at the NFL level is amazing. Shout out to him and his courage, his level of courage, to his family for supporting him through this decision, for the Bills for continuing to give him an opportunity, which is a big risk, I'm sure. Um,
Hmm.
and you know, the Bills training staff that applied you know, first aid medical treatment to him on the field. And you know, the Cincinnati medical team, man, that took care of him. Um, I don't want to talk too much about it because it is emotional. Uh,
Hmm.
you know, I don't like to see players get injured, but you know, was more than just an injury. This was a young man losing his life at 24 years old, being brought back, losing his life again, and then being brought back again, and now he's playing football again. Um, you know, that is huge, and there are so many great people right now that have had a hand in that from when it happened to where we are now. So I just want to take a moment to, you know, appreciate those individuals. And Kim Pagula was back at
Hmm.
training camp. Um, you know, there was no video, there was none of that. And I'm glad because, you know, you got to give her time and this is, you know, we don't want to rush anything where she's concerned. But it's
Yep.
just it's beautiful to have her back, man. It is beautiful to have her back. And yeah, man. I
Yeah,
mean,
it's a
it, to me,
it's a
this
shame.
makes. I'm sorry.
That
To me, this makes this season the antithesis of what we had last year. Last year, it was tragedy, 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 and we're starting off the season with the correcting action of those tragedies. Now we're having the miracle of Kim Pagula coming back and the miracle of Damar Hamlin to being able to play football. I'm not
mhm.
saying it means anything for later, but you know, things are headed in the right direction for us.
You know what? You said it best. I mean, I don't listen. We've heard Dion Doc. We've heard players talk about what Buffalo means to them, right? You know how Dion Dawkins says, "I never want to play for anybody else," and what it means. And you know, you and I both went through 9/11. We're from the New York area, right? So, and even
Yeah,
I'm not comparing, but what I'm saying is, I don't think people realize the impact that that horrific, heinous white supremacist shooting can have on a place like Buffalo. Like, you know, as close knit as people are, right? That I don't realize. I don't think I still think it has an impact now, but I think it spilled right into the season, right, and it spilled into training camp. You know, it that was a major deal for that area to go through that kind of pain, right? And you could even see it just in our organization. I don't think there were any fake tears shed for that. If you get my drift, right? It was real. It was raw. It was emotional. We were all feeling it, right? Then the storms, and then the Damar Hamlin night, right? I mean, remember our spaces that night? I mean, there were prayers going on. We had all fans coming together. No arguing whatsoever, right? It said that it takes that kind of moment, right? I mean, I remember I couldn't sleep that night because I we were just so worried about tomorrow. We didn't know if we were going to wake up and hear the worst news possible, right? We didn't know if he was going to live, right? So now he's got a life after football in a way. Like, you know, things happen for a reason, right? Damar could be a pioneer for CPR and things like that, and I think that's wonderful, right? I think you know, I think whatever you want to say, the right person was picked for that. It's
yeah,
strange to say, but I think he's, you know, I just love what he's been doing, and just a relationship with the trainers and stuff. It's just, I mean, they're going to be family forever. I mean, they're always going to have that bond, right?
absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah, and
it's you want good to come out of out of tragedy. You want, you
mhm,
know, some sort of positive to be able to draw
yeah,
from this. And I mean, I'm just gonna put it out there, man. Buffalo's a very segregated city. Uh, that
it is.
area up there is
Hmm.
very segregated, uh,
Hmm.
kind of like this country. And you know, it's unfortunate that it takes tragedy to bring us together, bring us across
You're right.
racial lines. But
Hmm.
sometimes you need that. Sometimes you need that
Yeah.
wake up call. Not that,
Hmm.
not that I'm saying that, you know, we wanted this to happen, anything like that. Like
No, no,
it's a tragedy.
never
But
want to see that again.
sometimes,
Yeah.
right? But sometimes things happen just to wait. Like sometimes things
Hmm.
happen, and it breaks down
Well,
a certain barrier
hmm,
that needs to be broken down. And I mean, if you
hundred
like,
percent.
even with this podcast right now, you know, I'm
Hmm.
black, you're white, we're Bills fans though. and we're from the same state. Even though you live in California and I'm in Jersey,
We're
still,
we're twins, Whittle. We know it.
that's it, man. That's it. You know what I'm saying? The glasses, the gray beard, it's all
It's
there,
right.
man.
We're both from Jersey. We're Bills fans. We speak the same language. But no, you're right. It's sad that but sometimes those tragedies also reinforce to me there's still a lot of good people out there, right? But it also exposes an ugly side too, as we know, right? And
Yeah,
but as long as we identify that, and as long as most of us do that, then I still have hope for the future that we're heading in the right direction in that respect. Is that like what I found in those things is most people were still, their hearts are in the right place, and that's what I want to see. That's what I hope for the most. You just don't want to see the ugliness. So,
that's it.
but
That's it.
I mean, can this franchise go through anything this year? Like if I were the coaches, I'd be saying, hey, let's just go through what we went through last year, right? If we're in our meetings, what do you want to throw at us this year? Try it, right? I mean, try it. Like the result? Just hey, listen, we got through that, and we still made the playoffs, still at 13 wins, right? What else could really happen this year? Not much. There's not a lot left.
I'm all tragedied out, man. I'm all
I know.
tragedied out. I don't want
I
any
think
more.
we've had enough. Yeah, we don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you mentioned that snowstorm. I mean, a lot of people died in that snowstorm. It was very, very
It's like
bad.
40.
I mean,
It was like 40 people, man. It's like 40
yes,
people. That's
terrible,
nuts.
just
Nuts.
awful. Yeah,
But we're approaching that time.
mhm,
Beyond, thank you again. Let the good people
thank
know
you.
where they can find you. Where they can find you.
That's right. Absolutely. Say yep. And we're going to go forward next week. We'll talk about the Bills' first preseason game. We got the
Mhm.
Colts on Saturday, August 12th at 1:00 Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. Nice little Saturday morning game. I like those, Whittle. So
Oh wait,
we'll
that's
have that.
no.
I
Next
believe
week,
our
man, we're gonna be
preseason.
talking. Yeah, no. Next week we're talking about we're gonna be talking about the first the Hall of Fame game.
Yes, we'll
We
talk
don't
about the Hall of
play.
Fame game, and we'll kind of preview the Colts Bills
Preview the
game.
Colts
And
Bills game. There you
yeah,
go. There you
that's what
go.
I meant to say. My mistake on that. But we'll
Nah, you good,
next
bro. You
time
good.
next time we get together, we are 3 days away from a Bills football game. So just to
That's it.
get you going on that. So right. So we'll have that,
Absolutely,
and
absolutely, absolutely.
then we'll
So yeah, so let the people know where they can find you on Twitter if they want to reach out,
yep
man.
at Beyond 716.
Okay, and you can find me at Twitter as well, Little2K. Um, oh, that is loud, isn't it?
That's nice right there.
There we go. Yeah, this is. We still playing around with this, man. We still figuring out the levels and
This
everything,
is
but
yeah, good beta test though. I think everything's been going great,
that's
and
it.
it's gonna get better and better, folks. Every time you come back, and like I said, if you're listening and you want to even be a guest, if you want to come on, if we can always discuss things, right?
Yeah, we're working on the YouTube. I've been working on the YouTube channel. It's up now. We are going to start loading the content on there. You can get to that YouTube channel at Coast to Coast Podcast NJ. Coast to Coast, just like the title, Podcast PODCAST NJ. You can reach us there. Like that's where the content's gonna go, man. And
Great.
and we'll like you said, man, we'll keep getting better. We're gonna keep adding to this podcast. We're gonna keep adding little things here and there, and we're gonna get into the numbers. We're gonna do all of that stuff. If you know me from Twitter, I get into the numbers, I get into the stats, I get into the analytics, and we're gonna
That's what
bring
we
on some.
do. Yep.
That's it. We're gonna bring some heavy hitters up here. We're gonna
Oh yeah.
talk football. We're gonna talk ball. You know what I'm saying? And it's
You better believe it.
mostly Buffalo ball, but we're gonna talk about a little bit of everything. So
That's right.
ride with us, man. Take this ride with us. We appreciate y'all. And beyond, man, I will talk to you in the space, man. All
We'll
right.
do, man. Till next week.
Have a good night, bro. Till next
You
week.
too,
Let's
man.
go. All
Let's
right.
go Bills.
Go Bills.